And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to watch Fred Talks Fighting.
This is Fred Beck from Fred Talks Fighting. Today, I'm very lucky to be joined by Bruce Buffer. So thank you very much for coming on, Bruce.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. My pleasure. My pleasure.
So what's been going on with you, Bruce?
Very busy. We were in Fight Island for a few weeks there for the big shows, you know, the return of Conor McGregor to the Octagon and all that went with it. And right now we're starting shows back in Vegas, but I've been busy on a number of projects. I do a lot of videos and audios and filming at my website, brucebuffer.com, and, you know, keeping the fans happy. And during these COVID pandemic periods, birth of babies, weddings, championship introductions, you know, podcast introductions, all very different things. So we're very busy with that, but I just released my own bourbon here in America called Puncher's Chance, and which you're not supposed to drink for a few years. and then in England, I'll be releasing my It's Time cologne in the next month, and all over the world, plus a bunch of energy products coming out in April. So I'm working on a variety of different things right now.
You sound like a very busy man over here, and there isn't much to do, you know, because we're all in a lockdown. But I just want to take you back to before you were an announcer, when you were a fighter's manager. Because when you went to your first UFC event, you weren't actually an announcer. You were Scott the Pitbull Frenzo's manager. How did you become an announcer then?
Well, actually, it was kind of a reversal. I wasn't interested in being a manager. I was trying to become the announcer of the UFC. And the only way I could become the announcer of the UFC, I felt, because it was falling on deaf ears, was when a fighter named Scott the Pitbull Ferrazzo, you mentioned, sent me a videotape. He was like a Neanderthalish, 6'1", 340-pound monster, kind of Tank Abbott-like. And I figured, okay, I'll get him into the show, which I did. And then as his manager, I get to go down to the show. So I brought my tuxedo down and convinced the owner to let me announce the prelims when I was there. And he did. And then I thought, okay, now I can get the job. I said, you need me in the Octagon. I can help you build this brand with my media contacts and everything else. And they called me not till about 6 months later to go and announce UFC 10, which I did, announce the full show, and then again asked for the job, because you always need to ask for the job when you want something. And they fell on deaf ears again. They hired somebody else. And then they made a TV show called Friends, which is a very popular TV show. And they made The Ultimate Champion, which was like the 23rd episode or so of Friends. And they asked me to co-star in Friends as myself, Warner Brothers. So I used that as a bartering chip, a poker play. And I met the owner on the set. And I said, look, I'm tired of asking you for this job. I feel like a girl waiting to be asked to go to the prom. Nobody's asking me. I'm going to ask you one more time. I will help you build this brand. I'll be much more than an announcer. And let's make a deal. Well, that was the best poker hand I ever played. And we made a deal at that time. And I announced every show for the next 18 years nonstop, until they had to bring in a backup to do like 6 shows a year, because there's so many shows and I can't be doing every one.
Well, you are a very good poker player yourself. And
thanks.
I just want to take it back a bit further. And so you didn't grow up with your brother Michael Buffer, I'm correct in saying. You only met Michael when he was 49 years old. I mean, blimey, that's crazy, isn't it? You think?
Yeah, it's nuts. I was basically 29. He was around 43, 44 actually. And we met, and I was already a fan of his on the telly, watching him all the time on the fights, because in boxing back then, the biggest fights in the world were happening every week. And he would come out and do his rumble. And then I saw the last name, and I'm like, who's this guy? Because our name I've never even seen in a phone book. And I'm like, where's this coming from? So lo and behold, it turned out to be my long lost half brother. And we got together, we got along famously. And 4 years later, I sold 2 companies I was very successful with, and to take over and manage his business, his brand, and to become his partner. And the rest is history. And I thought I'll be an announcer, but we agreed I wouldn't do boxing. And I said, that's okay, something's going to come along. And then lo and behold, you know, UFC was on the scene.
What I find really crazy about that is, because Michael was a child, he lived with an adoptive family, was adopted. And if he didn't take the surname Buffer, you probably may not even known he was a brother ever.
No, he was raised under the name of Huber. And then when he went in the Army, they said, your name's not Buffer, your name's Michael Huber. Excuse me, your name's not Huber, your name's Michael Buffer. And he kept it ever since and didn't let it go. And luckily, they never changed the birth certificate, or we never would have met.
That's a crazy story. And you both have your famous taglines. His is "Let's get ready to rumble," and yours is "It's time." Where did you originally get the tagline "It's time" from?
Well, I never started off being trademark driven because I didn't want to be like everybody wants to be like Michael back then. Now I have people copying me, trying to do what I do physically and verbally in the octagon and elsewhere, which is an honor. It's always an honor to do that. But I didn't want to be Michael Buffer Jr., Frank Sinatra Jr. I wanted to be Bruce Buffer. I wanted to be known for my own style. So I didn't even have a trademark phrase, but every morning when I wake up, I would always say, "It's time to have the greatest day ever." And then when I was in the octagon one night, I realized that, they've been sitting here with the fans for 5 hours waiting for the main event. The fighters have been training for 8 to 10 weeks, whatever the case might be. It's time. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. So I started saying it, and then organically it built over time into the evolutionary process that happens in life the way I say it now. I mean, I've said it jumping 4 feet in the air, to turning, to you name it, every which way but loose. But I've got it down perfectly now that everything, like I said, is a process.
You even tore your ACL in the process of saying it. And you
No, actually, the ACL was not torn. Everybody thinks that I jumped and tore it when I said it's time. No, the ACL was torn in Toronto in the Rogers Arena in front of 55,000 fans announcing George St. Pierre. And when he hopped out, I bunny hopped back when I was saying his name, and I had a bad ankle that night. I couldn't stand on my leg 2 days before due to an injury I had earlier in the week. And the ankle wobbled and the knee exploded. Otherwise, I've got a perfect record for its time. It's okay. I can jump and turn and do all the crazy stuff. But when I do something simple, that's when I hurt myself.
you don't have to be a fighter to even hurt yourself. And you worked with some crazy events in your time since
Mhm.
UFC 10 and now since the latest UFC events. What have been some of your most memorable events you worked at?
I've forgotten more than I can remember, Fred. I've seen every great fight you can imagine. You name it, I've seen it. I've announced it. There's so many great events. It's hard to say what the greatest one was. There's just so many great ones. Whether it's UFC 100, UFC 200, whether it's Tito Ortiz fighting Ken Shamrock for the first time, as they walked out, or the wars with Randy Couture, or you know John Jones fights, on and on and on. Just Conor McGregor wars. It just goes on and on and on. Every time we think we've seen the greatest fight, 3 weeks later, I see the greatest fight. That's the beauty of the UFC.
In about 99% of those events were with fans in the arena. What's it like announcing the main event with no fans in attendance?
Not a problem. I mean, at first it was a little weird, but it's always just me and the fighter anyway. And that's why when you see me when there's nobody in the event, which will happen this Saturday, for instance, I'm still bringing the same energy, right? Because I'm there to serve the fighters and to serve you, the fans, and make sure that I enhance the moment for you as best. The show's not about me. It's about enhancing the moment for you and the fighters. And I'll never stop doing that. So no fans, 20,000, 50,000, no problem.
That sounds great. And as you mentioned earlier, you're an excellent poker player. I expect you still play poker. I never thought the idea of playing poker. Obviously, I'm not young enough and I don't want to lose my money. But do you still play poker?
Oh, absolutely. Even more so in the pandemic, play online. I don't play live though. I won't be playing live poker for a while.
And after you retire, obviously it'll be a very long time. But after you retire, do you think you'll be playing poker then?
Oh yeah, no, definitely poker will be. I'll be playing poker till the day I die. No problem.
Well, you have got the James Bond behind you there. And I've only got one more question because I know you're a very busy man. Everyone in the UFC is deep down is a fighter. I know you did kickboxing or martial arts when you were younger, and you even had a few scraps. What was it? What can you tell us a bit about the scrap you had with Frank Trigg in the elevator?
Well, it was documented by UFC on the UFC fight lore that they had, which is really cool. And I wrote about it in my book, It's Time, which was published in England also. We just went in an elevator. Frank and I are friends, and Frank did the wrong thing. He hit me from behind. He hit me with a rich hand in the throat in front of Dana White, and the doors weren't even closed yet. And he just got upset he was asking, Dana to put him back in the octagon. And I was admiring Dana's watch, and he hit me like, don't get in my way, that kind of thing. But it was kind of a cheap move because he was behind me. And when I turned around, I said, "Frank, you hit me. Why the heck did you hit me?" I didn't say it like that. I said it differently. And then he said the wrong words to me. He said, "What are you going to do about it?" And I just reacted and punched him twice, and it was on. And Dana can't stop talking about it, obviously, which is really cool. You got to stand up for what you believe in. I don't care who you are. Nobody puts their hands on me. I treat everybody with respect. I expect to be treated with respect. If you disrespect me, I'll deal with it appropriately.
The UFC would have put the fight on pay-per-view. As I said, everyone in the UFC can fight. All right, Bruce, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, man. And just once again, where can people find your Puncher's Drink from?
Right now, it's in the United States. We're growing. We'll be in every state by July. You can go to Puncher's Chance and Google them on the internet. You can follow me on Instagram at Bruce Buffer UFC, and I'll give you more information. But it's a big hit. It's selling fast. It's one of the fastest selling new bourbon brands ever in the United States. We're very excited about it. It's really good, but you're not supposed to have it for a while.
I got 2 years in the UK. It's 18. All
There
right.
you go. 2 years, you can have all you want. Well, within reason. Drink responsibly.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, Bruce.
All right. Thank you, Fred. You take care. Big cheers, no fears, and all the success. Stay safe, my friend.